Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Cobras Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra and I make minimalist videos. So today's video is going to be full minimalism versus practical minimalism. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's get it, let's go! Woo! So it's been kind of like a hot minute since I've kind of like sat down to just kind of like film. Been kind of busy because finished exams and went to Korea, and then after that packed and then came to Taiwan, and I had to like do like family related stuff. So been like pretty busy, but like today I just had a little bit of time to sit down and film. I haven't been really posting many minimalist videos because I had a lot of videos backed up from China that I wanted to upload first before I kind of sat down and like talked, so that's why I haven't had that many, and my subscriber count has definitely taken a hit. I've lost a lot of subscribers. I guess not too many people are interested in my own life. They just want to hear like minimalism stuff, but you know what, I used minimalism to give myself the courage to do YouTube videos. So I make all of these videos for myself and for people who care to watch them, and you guys know who you are, those who have taken the time to support my channel and write comments. So thank you so much. So thank you so much for sticking with me. These videos are for you guys, so you know what, fuck the haters, it's all about you guys. Okay, so let's just get right into it. So I'm going to be breaking this video down into 3 points, talking about how I like did or used practical minimalism, and then comparing that in contrast, or if there's any overlap, with 3 points about full minimalism. So yeah, so just to kind of like talk about what I mean by practical and full minimalism. So I've been on my minimalism journey for some time now. I originally used minimalism kind of like as a practical tool when I was trying to get on my feet financially, and then after that I decided to embrace a full minimalism and really focus on just a minimalistic lifestyle. So I'm going to be talking about what the two differences were, or like what I thought about it. Maybe that might help somebody who's kind of like in that journey or curious to know what my thoughts were on it. So I'm just going to get right into it. So first I'm going to be talking about practical minimalism because that is the first one that I did. So first, number one, what I did was I focused more of stuff that I liked. So I wasn't really looking into just having like a very simplistic lifestyle or going for that very minimalistic lifestyle in itself. I was just kind of more focused on just implementing more of what I did like. So there was kind of more focused on abundance rather than subtracting. I was more focused on, okay, if I'm going to be minimalistic, I'm just going to have more of what I like. So I indulged in a lot of stuff that I don't necessarily do now, but I indulged in a lot of makeup, I indulged in a lot of like handbags, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is just how I used it. I kind of used more minimalism more as a tool per se than a lifestyle. So I definitely did indulge in a lot more materialistic stuff, and I justified it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just explaining this is how I did it, and I just used it to kind of like justify the means. I was like, okay, I like handbags and I like this and I like that, so I had a lot of that stuff. Number two, I bought what I really wanted and what I really needed. So stuff that didn't really fall into those categories, I kind of like XO'd. Before I was more kind of like a why not. Before I became a minimalist, that's how I did it. I was like, if I saw something, I just thought, why not? And so I buy it. So when I became a practical minimalist, I gave myself the criterion, unless it's something that I really needed or something I really wanted, then I would buy it or bring it into my life or whatever. So that's just kind of how I used it. I made the transition away when I became a minimalist. I made the transition away from just buying for the sake of buying. I stopped that, and it became more like, did I need it? I'd ask myself like, do I want it? Do I need it? And that's just kind of how I used minimalism. Okay, and the third thing that I did as a practical minimalist was that I kind of focused on getting rid of excess. At the time, I kind of was like, anything that I thought was just like so obviously unnecessary, I did away. Things that were kind of in the gray zone, I kind of held off, and I was like, maybe for example, if there was a pair of pants I really didn't like when I became a minimalist, those were the first things to go. I got rid of excess. I got rid of things I really didn't want. I really didn't think added value to my life, like at all, or the things that were like really like taking away from the quality of my life. Those were the things that I did away with first. Things I didn't like, things I really didn't want, or took away a lot of time, just stuff that I didn't want. I now had that excuse with practical minimalism to get rid of. Okay, so now I'm going to be talking about when I made that transition and I went kind of more hardcore and I went into the more minimalistic lifestyle for the sake of being for the sake of being a minimalist in the essence of like a simple life. I was not pursuing a simple life for the sake of a simple life, and that's kind of when I made that video, that time period where I like embraced full minimalism, and I made a lot of videos where I let go of desire and I went a more traditional minimalist lifestyle. Because before that I was kind of like the black sheep, and I kind of was like a rebel minimalist because I did a lot of things that were kind of consumerist but still using minimalistic principles. But then when I went full minimalist, I went like the very like those kind of videos where you see people quit minimalism because they didn't enjoy that lifestyle. So I'm going to talk about what it was like when I became a full minimalist in contrast to practical minimalism. Okay, so number one, the first thing that I did when I became a full minimalist is I got rid of desiring stuff. So I embraced desiring less. That was something that I hadn't done when I was a practical minimalist. I still wanted things, you know, I desired things. I wanted an iPhone, I wanted new shoes, I wanted this and I wanted that. At the time I justified it as, if it's very few things that I desire, it's alright. But when I became a full minimalist, I decided to just not place any importance whatsoever on material stuff. So I got rid of desiring material things. That was one of the things that went. I decluttered, as opposed to material stuff, I decluttered concepts when I became a full minimalist. So I stopped desiring material stuff, I stopped desiring a certain aesthetics, I stopped desiring looking a certain way when I did my makeup, I stopped desiring a certain physique or looking a certain way when I dressed myself or desiring a certain lifestyle. All of these things, like I decluttered all of that and I decided to embrace the life that I was currently living. Could I just be happy with where I was today, in the now, in the moment? So that was one of the things that I did when I became a full minimalist. I'm not saying, you know, one lifestyle is better than the other. Each one has its pros and its cons. I'm just kind of explaining the three things that really like came out to me when I was like living those lifestyles. Okay, so number two, the second thing, I realized that I didn't really need much at all. So before, when I was being a practical minimalist, I really embraced a lot of like luxury, like indulgences, and I felt justified in it. But when I embraced full minimalism, I wanted to see what was like the bare, like not to be an extreme minimalist, but it was just kind of realizing that I really didn't need even a lot. Like before, I was still in the realm of, okay, I need a lot of stuff, like I need these things, and I want these things. But when I became a full minimalist, I stripped everything away and I only let rise to the surface the truly essential. And I found that I didn't even really need that much. Like, I found that I didn't even need makeup at all, and I didn't even need clothes that look differently. If you've seen a lot of my other videos, I wore literally the same shirt for 2 years. Not the same shirt, I had like 5 of them, and they were the same color, the same cut, the same size. I really found that I didn't even need much at all. I didn't need a lot of luxury stuff that I thought that I needed. I didn't need handbags. I didn't need multiple handbags. I really didn't need a lot of things. You know, I didn't need to be constantly dyeing my hair. I didn't need to be constantly indulging in shopping or doing this or doing that, you know, or even stuff on my phone. I didn't need that many apps. I just found that I didn't need a lot of stuff. So I guess maybe I should talk about what I did need. Like I guess I found that like I need a brush, like a comb. I need a toothpaste. I do need conditioner. I tried to declutter that, but I like having shampoo and conditioner. I need face wash. I need clothes. I need maybe 1 or 2 pairs of shoes. I do need a purse. If you see my video, my bag was a plastic purse. I do need a purse. I didn't have a purse. So I kind of discovered the things that I really did need to live a certain standard of life. So I kind of discovered that in full minimalism. Okay, and the third thing is I embrace simplicity for the sake of simplicity. Before, I had a lot of like external frill as to why I did what I did when I was being a practical minimalist. But when I embraced full minimalism, instead what I did was I just decided to, how simple could I just live my life and not make it very complicated? And because before I would try to like make things simple but not too simplistic. I don't really know how to explain it. When I was being a practical minimalist, I still did things as it suited me, and I just used minimalism as a tool per se. But when I embraced full minimalism, I decided to do everything. How simple could I do things? That's how I asked myself. How simple could I make my meals? How simple could I make my like life routine? How simple could I do my homework? What's the most efficient manner to do anything and everything? So I placed simplicity at the core of everything that I did when I became a full minimalist. So like when I did my hair, what's the most simple way that I could do it? You know, when I had like a routine when I came home, what's the most simplest and most effective thing that I could do with my time? You know, when I video edited, I stopped trying to like make it as fancy as I could with like crazy editing skills and whatever. Instead, I'm just like, you know what, just edit it, put the like tabs. That's why you'll find that even though I've been YouTubing for some time now, I think like a year and a half maybe, yeah, this upcoming February, I've been on YouTube for 2 years. You'll find that my editing never really evolved or got better per se. It's really, if anything, it's actually become even more simple and amateur looking, because I went in the other direction. I was like, how much less frill could I add? Before I would try to embellish and add and put this and put that, but like my channel represents myself, and I've gone in the direction of being more simplistic. So that's why my videos, if you see, are even more simple than they were when I first started, because I like that. Yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense. But anyway, yeah, so I don't want to make this video too long and ranty. Yeah, so that pretty much is what I experienced, or like the 3 things that really stood out to me when I was being a practical minimalist, being a black sheep, and then some of the things that I found that I really did more when I became just like a full minimalist. Where I am now, I guess I've kind of gone away I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not so full minimalistic as I was when I embraced like the full minimalism movement back in September, but I'm not anywhere near as like practical as I was, or like sui bien, I guess in Mandarin. Like I'm not as like freestyle about it as I was when I was a practical minimalist. I'm more kind of like, I'm embracing the simplicity for simplicity's sake, as I still do with full minimalism, because I found like there's just such beauty and peace in that. But I'm not as simplistic as I was when I was a full minimalist. I still brought back into my life some stuff that I did enjoy as a practical minimalist. Like I still like, so for example, I like makeup. So I brought it back into my life. When I was being full minimalist, I also did my March no makeup. I wasn't even wearing makeup, but I found that I do like to wear makeup. So I feel like now that I've gone to like both ends of the spectrum in terms of like the world of minimalism, that, you know what, I just want to be happy and at peace, and I don't want restrictions. So I'm just kind of bringing it all together in that form. So yeah, one thing I do want to say is that when I embraced full minimalism, I stopped wearing uncomfortable clothes. And one of the things that I've really enjoyed in my whole minimalism journey, where I'm at right now, is being simplistic in how I feel. And I think that before, everything used to be kind of an external thing, even with my practical minimalism. But with my full minimalism, I really enjoyed asking myself, how does this make me feel? That's kind of where I come from now when I do everything that I do. I ask myself, does this make me feel good? Do I feel comfortable? Do I feel happy? Do I feel at ease? If it's not making me feel any of those things, then I think that that's just kind of like when I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do it. I don't feel like doing it, so I won't. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, thanks for having watched. If you want to leave any comments about your minimalistic journey and where you're at with minimalism, leave it down in the comment section below. I'd love to read it, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!